And we are live for this week. Welcome back to another episode of 500 Miles here. I am joined this week by Josh Calloni from Frontstretch. Nice to have you on, Josh.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yep, and once again, I'm your normal host, Adam Relkin. Brody, unfortunately, not able to make it again this week, but he should be back next week. So for this week, a lot to talk about in terms of racing. A lot of racing as well, because I think we almost had a record for most amount of races held on a Saturday. I think amongst like many national series is because you had, except one did get postponed, which may have hindered that potential record. But like for example, on Saturday we had the Cup Series, trucks and ARCA at Lime Rock. We also were supposed to have the Whelen modified tour at not Monadnock, White Mountain, but that was postponed to Sunday. We
Had a
also
little bit of the Xfinity Series too.
Yep, had Xfinity on Friday, and the Canada Series also ran on Saturday. I just wanted to point
Yeah.
out that we had a pretty big statistic that potentially could have been broken amongst NASCAR sanctioned series. Not talking
Did the
about the
Xfinity race
weekly.
go out? Did it go into Saturday?
It
The
might
Xfinity
have.
race?
It
So
might have. So
that
that
counts.
that may have like this is something that maybe we got to hit up Seth Eggert on, because maybe he'd be able to figure out if we've ever had that many national series events held on one day. But a lot going on this week. We just came off of Atlanta. I am not calling it Echo Park for the record, so
Oh,
I don't want anyone to start correcting me in the comments about things. But it is not Echo Park Speedway. I know Marcus Smith wants it to be that because his brother owns that company, but it is still Atlanta Motor Speedway to all of us here. Uh, so with this week, it ended up being Chase Elliott picking up the victory. This was his first win of the year, first since Texas last year, which probably should get people going again about him, because a lot of people were very concerned about him this year, but now he's finally able to break through with that win that people have been asking, when is it coming? When is it coming? Is it ever going to happen? Well, here you go. It's happened.
I think people forget how good he is. I mean, the wins haven't come a lot lately, but like he's still fourth in points this
I
year. I
think
mean,
so.
consistency is his consistency is incredible. I mean, it was only a matter of time before he won, and he's a momentum driver. He's going to win again soon. They're going to
Oh,
start coming.
absolutely.
And yeah, no, I think people are going to remember how good Chase Elliott is. I think it's going to start coming back around.
He's going to he's going to probably get some more wins as he adjusts more to the next
Yeah.
gen car. Uh, I know Chase Elliott previously mentioned once or twice in some interviews before that he would drive that in the first year of the next gen, he drove it at like it was a Gen 6 car, which helped him short term because people were still trying to figure out the cars then. But once the team started to say, hey, let's try this, that then gets things rolling. It may have
Yeah.
set Chase Elliott back, especially amongst his teammates like William Byron and Kyle Larson, who really have made gains ever since then.
I think that could be said with a lot of drivers too. Like the adjustment from Gen 6 to Gen 7, as many drivers as it's helped. Like Byron's a really good example of that. I think Kyle Busch obviously falls into the category of it's really hindered him, and Chase Elliott. I mean, you can name a couple others, but like, there's definitely something to be said for that adjustment period. I think we're finally getting to the point, at least for Chase Elliott, where that's going to start to come over a little bit more, and he's going to start finding victory lane a lot more
Yeah, I
consistently.
think I think so, and it may also, but again, this week, I mean, we actually had another full field. I could be wrong. This, I think, was the third full field of the season in Cup. We had the Daytona
Yeah,
500, the Coke 600, and now this week, Fast Weekend at
yeah,
Atlanta. So that's
yeah.
three, and we are going to have a full field next week at Chicago. We will get to that later in the show. So for this week at Atlanta, we ended up having a Logano starting on the pole, and there was some weather in the area. It also hurt the Xfinity race too, but
Yeah.
you know they were still able to get both races in. So I give
In full
NASCAR,
too.
yeah, in
So
full. So I'm glad that they were able to work around it and still get the action in promised to the fans there, and ended up Cup race. This was probably one of the best races of the year, I think, in terms of
yeah, I
racing
mean,
product, and especially a rebound from Pocono last week, which wasn't a terrible race at Pocono, but probably
We've
one of
had
the
better.
Pocono is probably one of the more probably towards the bottom of the list for
Yeah.
races this year, but still ended up being. But Atlanta still definitely is a relief to those who were complaining and being boomers after Pocono. This definitely was a relief for them.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just something about that racetrack with the next gen car. It's built perfectly for that car. I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't think they've had a bad race there since they've reconfigured in the next gen. This one was the best. I think it was one of the best races I've watched in the next gen era, and in general in a long time. I was entertained. I think the wreck kind of helped, kind of get some new faces up there,
Yeah,
some more aggressive faces. But it was going to be good one way or the other.
wasn't a good one for the teams because they got to
No, a
spend
lot of money.
got to spend
A lot of money.
thousands to repair those cars. I mean, teams are only
Yeah,
allowed to run 7 cars if they're all year if they're usable. So if you can repair it, repair it. If you can't, buy
yeah,
another one, which is
yeah.
apparently over $300,000. But we're not 100% sure about that. So I think going into so ended up being about I think 29 cars in that big wreck in stage two. It was something like that.
Yeah.
And I was coming
Yeah.
home. I was coming home from Lime Rock, and we're listening on the radio, and we're like, "Oh my god!" Like this is and
Yeah.
me and my father were on the way home from Lime Rock, and we were like, "Oh my god, that is insane!" And we were like,
I mean,
"Is that the whole? Is that actually the whole field?" And we were thinking, did all 40 car? Well, it couldn't have been all 40 cars because we had another wreck before that. Unfortunately, took out
yeah.
Christopher Bell and Ryan Blaney, and Ryan Blaney, he has had like I
It's
think
that,
6 DNFs this year.
it's that advanced auto parts scheme, man.
Yeah, that
They crash
advanced
every
auto
time you get
parts
out.
it curses him every time. Like
I know, and it's always a hard wreck, like head on. I know it was same that he had a Daytona a couple years ago. I think was that when he drove at Nashville when he wrecked hard in the inside wall too. I was at that race. I can't
I
remember if it was
I
that or not.
it may have been, but Ryan Blaney, like his
He wrecks
luck,
hard.
he does have a win on the year, thankfully at
Yeah,
Nashville for him. His luck has still not been on his side this year,
yeah,
and I think this was like his 6th DNF of the year. So like gotta get something together there, but it's
yeah,
a mix of luck and other unfortunate factors. Like, but I think
yeah.
I just hope he can get it together. I mean, this weekend, but yeah, Bell I think was able to come back out, although he was many laps down
Yeah, he did.
after
Yeah,
that.
and I think a lot of that had to do with the in-season tournament. I think is getting guys,
Yeah,
motivated to get back out there, which was kind of cool to see because, obviously the DVP's altered to the point where you can come back out, and I just feel like we haven't really seen it much. But I think with the in-season tournament and the hype around that, uh, it was worth it to try to come back out, especially with so many cars in the garage. And that was kind of cool to see. It's very throwbacky.
yes, I think it's something I want to see them adjust with the Xfinity and trucks too.
Yeah,
Even though those cars are not built anything similar to the next gens, I think it would be nice to see them do the same for Xfinity and trucks so that you can get more moments like this where especially if there's like a big points battle, if someone like Xfinity and trucks give bonuses, they give money
yeah.
bonuses based off of where you finish
Owners.
in owner points. So like
And I think that
if
makes it more important to have in the trucks and the Xfinity the ability to come back out because, I mean, owners' points obviously is the thing in the Cup Series, but without having DNQs and money bonuses, it's just not as prominent. So I feel like you have to reward that in the lower series if you
yeah,
can. So
and that's why I want to see that happen there
yeah,
because
I agree.
for example, if a team is like 21st in owner points in Xfinity, I believe there's a money bonus if you finish top 20 in points.
Yeah,
If
I
you
think it's
get
top 20 or top 30.
Yeah, there's an additional bonus if you're top 30. So if like a team is 21st in owner points and they're only a few points behind the team in 20th, why not go back out and try to make up a
Yeah,
few spots? Like, I mean, you're not going to get many spots, but I think it's something that
yeah.
I
Two
think
spots, 2 points can be the difference.
it can be the difference. So like, I think it's something that I would like to see return as well. So, and even then, we had many guys who were still able to come back out after the 29 car wreck. Like, I don't know how many. I don't think there were that many guys who ended up being out of the race. I think there were about
I think it was like 10 total, but like as many cars as were in the wreck, that's not bad.
yeah,
Uh,
which I think has to do with the new DVP policy
Yeah.
for Cup this year, because it's possible that number could have been a lot worse had
Oh
that
yeah.
not been in effect. And I mean, the racing, even though they had that big wreck, I was thinking, are we about to
Right.
do this again after that? And I'm like, what are we doing? Because I had
Yeah, there
gotten
was a
home
couple times
by that
where
point.
I thought they were gonna wad it up again, and it's like, man, y'all have already torn up enough race cars. But
Yeah.
I
But
think
af-
that just adds to the intrigue. I mean, it was
yeah.
top race.
But after that, they still. But after that, like they still and if they wrecked again, it was only like a single car or two car incident. Like Riley Herbst, I
Yeah.
know, went around, got involved with it was Todd Gilliland, and then Justin Haley, I think he
Yep.
spun out later. I think someone else
And
was
Van
someone.
Gisbergen spun. I think
Yeah,
he broke a toe link at the wall.
yeah, and a lot of big surprises as well with the in-season tournament as well. Like Denny Hamlin,
Yeah.
the number one seed, he's out to the 32 seed in Ty Dillon.
Ty Dillon. Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of the intrigue. It's starting at a super speedway or super speedway style.
Yeah,
Uh, it's is it the most logical thing? I maybe not, but
no,
why not? Right? Like people like March Madness for Cinderella upsets, right? It's the same thing you've got here.
yeah. And this does,
Um,
yeah, and this does not
yeah,
impact any. This doesn't impact any teams' points. It's a
no,
$1 million bonus. You only win if you get to the final two at
yeah,
Indianapolis. So, I think it also opened the tournament because remember TNT's headquarters is in Atlanta, Georgia. So I think
yeah.
that may have been another factor as to why perhaps we saw Atlanta kick it off for the in-season tournament.
And
And
they have
then
a really good set of racetracks for it too. I mean, obviously Chicago's probably one of the more premier tracks on the schedule just because of how unique it is, and Indianapolis obviously, and then the other ones it's Sonoma and Iowa, right?
Sonoma, Dover, Indianapolis.
Dover, that's it. That's Dover. Yeah,
That's
finishing at a piece of it adds a little bit more of the intrigue to Indy because obviously it's historic as it is, but you throw that in there, it makes sense, and I think it's a really cool thing. I wasn't too keen on hearing it throughout the race, like hearing about brackets and brackets busted, but I enjoy the idea of it. I think it's a cool idea.
and we have no we have and NASCAR posted this.
Yeah,
There are zero, literally zero brackets that still remain in the tournament. So there's no more there's so no one so there's nobody who's going to be perfect with this. Someone may get the winner right. That's definitely
yeah.
possible, but nobody's going to have a perfect bracket after Atlanta. And I know a lot of people took complaints to that, but again, like this doesn't
Part of the
really
fun.
it's supposed to be a for fun thing. This is only for
Yeah,
money. This is not for actual points. So if I pull up the results here on my phone, it also got really interesting in terms of the battles towards the end because we had a lot of really surprising finishes as well from some guys, and some guys really needed those finishes. Like he came so close to breaking his way into the playoffs, but Brad Keselowski is moving up in the points, and he needed this second place finish.
yeah.
It took him until last week to break into the top 30 in points, and now he's
Which
up
is
to yeah.
incredible, really, for him. I mean, he's still very capable in the Cup Series. I mean, it's been a lot like Blaney, a lot of luck that's kind of out of his doing, but it's surprising to hear that he's so low halfway through the season. But
Yeah,
yeah, he
but
started to turn it around.
yeah, but now Keselowski's up to I believe 28th in points. Alex Bowman, I know, also had a really great run on Sunday as well, and Eric Jones, he gets a fifth place finish. He's now looking at the cut line potentially.
Yeah, it was Nemechek to start the year out of Legacy, but it's really been Eric Jones since about the last 8 or 10 races. He's
Nemechek
really turned
has
it on.
Nemechek has still ran pretty well the last
Yeah, it's
few
just
weeks for sure. Like Legacy has started to get itself together, and
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
proud of
huge
them.
step up.
Which I think it's just I think last year was just an adjusting year for the team, getting from
Well, Nemechek first year in the cars, and the team's still adjusting. Obviously, I
yeah
mean Jimmy Johnson's ownership and taking over is still new to them. I know that
yeah
there's a lot of in place prior, but Yeah, it's natural.
In place fire,
Oh,
like
like
just
in place prior to like before him, because a lot of the
yeah.
operations are the same still, like from
Yeah, he ended up
and
replacing a lot of people as well. Like
yeah,
he brought in someone from Hendrick, although I think he's now no longer with the team. I think his name is like Brian Campy. I don't think he's with the
yeah,
team anymore. He's brought in Cal Wells, he's brought in Matt Kenseth, he's brought in Trevor Bayne, he's brought in who else has he brought in? He's brought in Nighthead Capital Management to help out, I
yeah,
think. Which Tom Brady is one of the owners of that, I'm pretty sure. So maybe we'll start. So that's just something to think about. I think
yeah,
there's a few other
absolutely.
people. Uh, Mari Gallagher's stake has kind of reduced though. Mike Beam is still, I believe, with the team. So there's a lot of people in many different positions. He also got Chad Johnson from Stewart Haas involved. So there is a lot of people working on this team. So Jimmy definitely wants to build this into a powerhouse. It's just that it's not going to happen from the get go.
No,
But they're
and I think
definitely making progress.
they have the right pair of drivers for it. I think for what they're trying to do and build it up from the ground up's maybe not the right way to say it, but from the bottom, I think
Yeah.
Eric Jones and Connor Nemechek are a perfect pair to start out with. I think
Yes.
you can't ask for much better
They
than that.
both have really been great drivers this year. I
Yeah,
go down the rankings. Ricky Stenhouse finishes in sixth. Like this was a run he really needed because I know he's been starting to fall off a bit, but because he was also in the playoffs for a good amount of
yeah,
the Fox portion of the schedule, and I remember people were saying, "Oh, is Hayek going to be the next team to go under?" Well, this team is definitely taking things really well, and
yeah,
I think Gordon Smith now being the majority owner has really helped because I know they were trying to phase out gradually. Tad and Jody Geschichter were trying to phase out of owning the team, and Gordon Smith ended up taking over. You also got Ernie Cope, who's owning the team as well, uh, who's the cousin of Derek Cope. You also have what's his name, Brad Daugherty, still having a stake. So a lot of different things that are coming into effect, and they've brought in a lot of new sponsorship as well. So they're trying to run it as if it's a new team, but
yeah,
but and while they are one of only I think two or no three full-time single car operations in the Cup
yeah.
Series, they really are doing a really great job at it. So I definitely give kudos to Ricky and the team.
I thought for a minute towards the end of Atlanta that Ricky Stenhouse was going to win that race. I mean, he
Oh
charged
yeah,
right up through there, and obviously, there with the draft, there's a lot of things that have to go right. He has to have the right help, but he looks like Ricky Stenhouse on a super speedway.
oh yeah,
I was convinced for a few laps he was going to win that race.
yeah. Ricky is one of the greatest plate racers we've got in
Yeah,
the Cup Series, and that shouldn't be denied at all. And then we also, and then Zane Smith, he comes home with a top 10. Ty Dillon, another top 10. Was this his first of the year? Or no, I don't
let's
think
see.
so.
I feel like
No,
he's had good selection
I think he
also.
has another one or two, but but nice to see him have a good run.
Yeah,
And
I'm impressed by Zane Smith. He's looked really good the last few
oh
weeks.
yeah, Zane Smith.
I thought he really had a good second half last year with Spire, but
Yeah.
his talent's obvious. Like it's there. I mean, it's not necessarily surprising, and it is Ty Dillon's first top 10.
Oh, it is.
Uh,
I thought he had
yeah.
another one already. But
Finished
and then his first ever
uh,
super speedway race, Connor Zilisch, he finishes in 11th. So
overcame some adversity, had some crash damage from the big one, and still, yeah, ran well. Valuable laps, I'm sure, in the next gen car. And I think that'll be important. I'm sure we'll get into that later, but
yes.
for the next year.
Yep. And also, and then another underdog run, we had Cody Ware in 13th. This, I think it would be a good time to transition briefly into the recent news. So, Rick Ware Racing has been sold to TJ Puchier. I think I'm saying that name right. They have been sold to TJ Puchier, who used to own Spire Motorsports with Jeff Dickerson. TJ sold his stake, I want to say around 2021, 2022. He sold his stake in the team. Jeff Dickerson has been the sole owner ever since, mostly, although I know TWG Global also has a big stake in the team. So
Yeah,
TJ now is is now taken over Rick Ware Racing. They plan to keep Cody Ware as their driver of the number 51 team. They have said that TJ seems to be very ambitious with where this team is going because he's talking about potentially getting three cars full time in the future, which very ambitious goal, but they do own two charters. But there are a lot of nicks and necks that may, become a bit
Hear that.
complicated
Yeah.
because remember, while Rick Ware Racing does have a new owner, and we don't know if TJ plans to rename this team to something, that will probably be something we'll find out about later in the year. The thing is, the team is still being sued by Legacy Motor Club. That's the problem. The lawsuit is still happening, even though the team has changed hands. So I'm curious if they're going to be able to do that and because what if they rule in favor of Legacy Motor Club? They get a third charter, which Jimmy Johnson has said in recent interviews they want a third car next year. If worst case scenario happens, 2027. So something to definitely have on our minds because that is going to probably be one of the biggest things that will impact the rest of silly season in addition to the news that we will get to later in this episode. So when it comes to this, like, I'm not really sure if this would be a team that's going to end up in the same power. Like, I feel like they're going to need more momentum to
Yeah.
favor them. Like, I feel like they're going to have to sign, like, and 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 the thing is, they intend to run only one car again next year because the plan is to swap the charters that they're leasing. They're planning to swap to lease the charter that Cody Ware is using right now.
Yeah.
That's going to be leased to Ryan Preece and RFK Racing next year.
Yeah.
So they're most likely, unless a miracle happens, only going to run one full time car next year. And while TJ does intend to run three cars in the future, it's going to be very hard to achieve that by his goal of like 2027 because he may get two, but where's that third one going to come in? Because I don't
Yeah.
know if anyone else is going to be willing to sell a charter. And this may also give some more financial stability for Rick Ware Racing because I know in the lawsuit documents, it was mentioned that Rick Ware Racing was having financial trouble in the lawsuit between Legacy Motor Club and Rick Ware Racing. So this is something we are definitely going to keep following. I know some people are saying that Rick Ware Racing, or whatever it's going to be called, is more in favor to win. Some are saying Legacy has more of a chance to win that lawsuit. That's something we definitely are going to be watching for going forward. In addition, we also had BJ McLeod finishing 16th. Gotta love BJ McLeod. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
and he
Did you hear his
he
interview after the race?
yes, that was an epic interview. I
Yeah. He
really
said he's going to win by 50, and I don't. BJ's mid 40s,
I
late early 40s.
I think so. I
Yeah.
think
I'm
so.
I'm for it.
He was born in the early 80s, I think. I want to say he was born in 83 maybe. So that would maybe. So if that's the case, he'd probably be like 41, 42 if that's the
Yep.
case. So
42.
so I love
I
BJ
hope to
and
see it. I want to see it. I
I
hope he
re-
wins by 50.
Yeah, and I know he's no longer full time, but he may have a chance because even though the 78 only runs a few races a year now, that team
It's
really has
competitive.
shown much more competition on these super
Yeah.
speedways than they did in prior years. Like, so BJ really wants to go all in, and I think he gets help from Childress as well as part of the
He
effort,
does.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
does. So like that additional help from Richard Childress, that has definitely got to be helping BJ out
And
in his
even
cup
outside of the
efforts.
Cup Series, if his goal is to win, I think taking some of the funding he does have and doing like what I know his truck race at Charlotte didn't go great because he wasn't adjusted to it, but doing that and buying competitive rides in the lower series for one-offs, I mean, that's the way he's going to win. Like, I think he's doing it right. Like,
Yeah,
he's built himself up to be a winner eventually.
yeah, and BJ has a lot of money behind him as well.
Yeah, yeah,
He's a millionaire, so he
yeah.
definitely can bring it a multimillionaire, so he definitely can bring in some funding. I mean he just opened up the Pigeon Force
Roller coaster.
coaster. So I
Yeah,
mean, if you're ever in the and I mean I mentioned it last week, if you're ever in the area in Tennessee, you may want to go check it out. Try it out.
yeah, absolutely.
In addition, fastest lap also went to John Hunter Nemechek, even though he finished back at 26, so that's a bonus point for them. We also had a few of the other open cars. There were a few other open teams in the field. Corey LaJoy, he unfortunately crashed out. I don't know when we will see the 01 or 15 back again this year, but LaJoy, I know, mentioned he wanted to run about 5 to 7 races, so chances are good we may see LaJoy and the 01 in another race or two this year. So there was also the 66 of David Starr in the race. I know some people were complaining about minimum speed, but I mean, David wasn't. I mean, I know he did get lapped a lot, but he didn't cause a wreck. So, I
Yeah,
mean, David's just trying his best. And I mean, David wasn't the worst pick even for this either, because, like, David last year finished, I think, top 10 at Talladega in the Xfinity race in the
he's a
fall.
very good point racer.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah,
And he still does good at it at 57. So, logically, this
yeah,
wasn't a terrible pick.
no,
So,
not at
like,
all.
I really hope I do hope we get to see David Starr run in more races in like maybe the Xfinity Series or the Truck Series where he's won before in the Truck Series. So like,
Yeah,
I would love to see him run some more Xfinity. Like, I'd love to see him come back and do Talladega in the fall in Xfinity, maybe even
absolutely.
go for a top 5 potentially. But like, that was one of the greatest races I've seen him ever run in a long time. And I know
Yeah,
he's up there in age; he's 57 now, but you gotta love David Starr.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
And
you don't have many. I mean, there's not many people left from his era of those Truck Series drivers that, like the. I mean, I know he wasn't as big named as like the Skinners, the Bensons, and the Horner days, but he was still there, still a part of
yeah,
that. And he
all
was the
that's
last of
really
his era.
all that's really left from that era is Matt Crafton
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I guess Sauter, but he's only ran one race this year, which was at
I guess he ran Daytona, didn't he?
yeah, he ran at Daytona in the 66 truck.
That's
So
right.
in addition, this weekend we also had the Xfinity Series at Atlanta. That may have gone into Saturday, but I
I
know
think it
the
did.
winner. The winner, we had a new winner. Ended up being Nick Sanchez, and that's going to
Sanchez.
shake up the playoff standings. And
That was bound to happen for Nick Sanchez.
yeah,
He was going to find it.
Nick Sanchez is a great driver, and I'm so happy for Scott Bruschetta with what he's been putting
Yeah,
together,
absolutely.
and that and I know he did lose, and I know the team has fallen off a little bit from last year, but that might also just be how competitive Xfinity has gotten this year
Yeah,
because it has gotten even more competitive this year within the
yeah,
field of full time drivers. So Nick as a rookie, he really has done really well. And I remember
yeah.
Pocono, he was running top 5 for a good amount of that race. So the win
Almost
was
won
coming.
Charlotte.
Yep.
Yeah, it was going to happen.
So I'm really happy for Nick Sanchez, and he's someone that I think really can get it done when needed, and I just think that he's going to continue to really, and he could maybe get a second win this year, knowing him. And he does shake up the playoff standing as well. I think someone
Yes.
does get knocked out because he was like one of the first guys outside. Okay,
Yeah, you're good.
so I'll keep talking. So when it comes to Nick Sanchez, we also have he's now in the playoffs, but from this past weekend, we also had a few underdog finishers, such as Kyle Sieg, who finished in ninth place. We also in addition had Jeremy Clements coming home with the top 10. Really nice to see that happen. Dean Thompson, 11th. Leland Honeyman came home in 12th. Two good runs. Leland was in the top 10 for a good amount of the day. So you know what? I'm really happy for Leland Honeyman. He had a really great run. Matt DiBenedetto, he finished in the top 15. And like Joey Gase, I mean, he ended up getting a top 20, and this was a finish that the 35 team really needed because that 35 team has been struggling with owner points. They've DNQ'd a few races this year. They DNQ'd at Charlotte. They did not make the race at Nashville either. And now they are ahead again of the number 32 team from Jordan Anderson Racing, which could, in case of rainouts or if they have to go by owner points for provisional spots, that helps the 35 team out a little more. So Joey finishing in 18th really helps him out a lot. Mason Massey, he also came home in 20th. There were a few interesting moments. There were also a few other interesting moments. While Austin Hill did pick up the fastest lap of the race, and while everybody out there was saying, "Oh, this race, nothing's going to happen. Austin Hill's going to win it." We all know Austin Hill's going to win it because nobody can beat Richard Childress Racing on the plate tracks. Nobody can beat Austin Hill on a plate track in Xfinity. Well, that did not happen this weekend. he had an issue early on, had to come to pit road. He fell, I think, 6 laps down. So as a result, Austin Hill, he ended up struggling for the rest of the race and wasn't able to gain any of those laps back, as far as I remember. There were a few other incidents. I remember CJ McLaughlin, he had some trouble. He, I think, spun out a few times, but I remember he had a really good qualifying run. He ended up, I think started eighth. I think he started eighth. I remember they even interviewed him on the CW broadcast. So that's something that's really nice to see. I don't know if we will see CJ in more races. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate at the same time that, he got caught up in a few incidents, but you know, CJ, he's still a really nice guy. May not be the best driver, but he's a really nice guy. So I really do give CJ kudos for being someone that really can be nice. There were a few unfortunate wrecks early on. On the bad luck for William Sawalich, it his luck has not been on his side this year. Let me tell you, it has not been on his side. He is still, and we are about halfway through the season in Xfinity, he is still outside the top 20 in points for the Xfinity Series. So, and because there was a wreck early on like lap 2 or 3, he got collected in it with guys like Parker Retzlaff, Josh Williams, Christian Eckes, Dean Thompson, who ended up coming back to finish 11th. But the luck has just not been there for William Sawalich, and it's a shame because people were thinking he was going to be a playoff threat and potential race winner this year, and now hasn't really been the luckiest this year and has had trouble. There was also a really scary wreck later on in the race with Catherine Legg. Catherine Legg, her luck has not been good either. Legg took a really hard hit after one of the restarts, which took out a few other guys like Patrick Staropoli, who it was nice to see him running again in the 24. I ended up talking a little bit about where some guys finished
Yeah,
for Xfinity.
perfect.
So
Yeah. I heard you a little bit. Sorry, I had a customer come in.
yeah,
But, a lot of good runs. I think there were a couple wrecks in the Xfinity race that helps with some of the underdogs. I heard you
yeah.
mention Leland Honeyman. I was impressed by him
Yeah. Oh
Saturday
yeah,
or
he was
Friday night. That
running.
was
He was
an
running
amazing
top
run.
10 all day. I know he finished
Yeah,
in
hold on.
12th, but Leland's a guy who I want to see in a top ride. Like
Yeah,
I
me
think
too.
he's a guy who really can get it done. I mean, I saw his potential when he was battling for wins in ARCA East in the
Yeah,
O2 when he was driving for Tyler Young. They ended up reuniting last year where I mean, people weren't expecting the most, but he made the
he
top
did
20 in points.
fairly well.
He
Yeah,
made the top 20 in points last year, so I was really impressed with Leland. And he's still really young. He's one of the youngest drivers on the Xfinity grid, so I really want to see Leland get more opportunities.
yeah,
So
me
that
as well.
pretty much wraps up Xfinity because, admittedly, it wasn't really the best race because I know
Something
Xfinity
about
packed
the track and the
the
package there just
Xfinity
doesn't
pack.
work the best.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like they run a mixed package. Like I feel like for the Xfinity guys, you're gonna have to run the full super speedway package or or the normal intermediate package, no in
Yeah,
between. And that's kind of what I feel the problem is because they don't run like they because the only thing they really run is like the super speedway engines,
yeah.
but they don't really
Everything
change
else.
any. And I think that's kind of what kind of hurts things. Like that's the thing. You gotta pick. You gotta do either both,
Yeah,
or
full
you gotta
throttle or back off all the way, kind of thing. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Like you can't do one or the other in this
Yeah,
situation. So that's kind of what I think hurts the product. So maybe they'll change it for 2026. We'll see what happens. But it's something that we probably will also be keeping an eye on going into next year. Also, the Truck Series and ARCA came for the first time ever, and oh boy, this was a fun weekend. Well, I was only there for one day, but the hype was there, and
a
I
lot of people
was
stood out.
20,000 people showed up for a standalone for the Truck Series. Like,
Yeah,
when's the last time you've
great.
heard? Like, Milwaukee, when Milwaukee had a truck standalone, didn't even have that many people. They had like half of that, I want to say, or three-quarters of that. So, like, this is really something I was happy to see. I know,
Yeah,
and the amount of people like interacting, this was also a great time, to hang out with some friends, like see some people in the media center again that I haven't seen in a while. So like this was a really fun weekend at Lime Rock, and I was just really happy that people were having fun.
Yeah,
Like that was something I could see. Like in the garage areas, especially, like people were having a lot of fun being at this track, and the fan experience that everyone was getting, it was incredible at Lime Rock. So I really
it
hope
seemed
this sticks around for much longer.
it seemed like a nice facility.
It is. It absolutely
I was
is.
impressed by the ARCA race. It put on a pretty good show. That was
Truck
one of the better ARCA road course races I've seen.
the truck race was not good, and unfortunately,
No,
I mean I was there, but
yeah,
there wasn't really a lot of passing. I don't know what could have hurt it. It may have just been the tightness of the turns, may have been the trucks being a lot larger than
yeah,
the ARCA
absolutely.
cars, which results in more dirty air. So that may have been some of the factors, but it's still. I know they also did not do the chicanes either, but even then, those races would have been too chaotic if they had the chicanes. But
Yeah, I agree.
there were a lot of nice. There were a lot of nice runs as well in the truck race, regardless. But Corey Heim, people were not expecting him to dominate. People were thinking it was going to be one of the road ringers like Brent Cruz that was going to be at the front of the show, but nope, it was Heim time again this week. So Corey Heim, he gets his fifth win of the year. He almost ran a perfect race. He had the fastest lap. He won the first two stages, won the race, but the problem is he didn't lead all the laps because Lane Riggs beat him to the flag at one on like the last restart, I think. So
I
he didn't
that
get
is
it.
such a man. That's kind
That
of disappointing. I thought if you were the leader coming into the restart, you led the lap anyways. I guess that's not the case.
and
Uh,
un, and
Unfortunate.
unfortunately we will have to wait another day for the sixth time we have seen someone lead all the laps in a truck race. So we will have to wait. It has happened 5 times before, the last being Eckes last year at Nashville. So we are unfortunately going to have to wait again to see it happen for a sixth time in the Truck Series history. And Heim
I'd put
also,
pretty good money on it being Corey Heim though. When if it happens again,
it's going to
especially
be
this
Heim.
season, yeah,
And Heim and
100.
Heim and Heim also, I think, just passed Matt Crafton for wins. I think he just did with this win. I think
Yeah, I think
they
I
were
saw that.
tied after his last win, which may have been Charlotte. It may have been Charlotte, may have been
Yep.
another one or two after that.
Yeah,
But uh, but regardless, like he has now officially passed Matt Crafton for the amount of wins in the Truck Series. So something to definitely keep an eye on there. And maybe he'll pass some more guys out there. There were some other notable runs. Like this was a really competitive field at the same time.
yeah, it was a very good road course race.
Like
Uh, for
in
road course field for the Truck Series.
yeah, the racing wasn't good. There wasn't much passing. Like there were a bunch of I know going into this race, there were a bunch of nice surprises, though, in terms of entrance. Like, we had Cam Waters in the 66, we had Josh Balicki in the 44, uh, Thomas Annunziata in the '07, Ben Meyer in the '02, Jordan Taylor in the 7,
Dale
Will,
Quarterly.
yep, Dale Quarterly. Gotta love Dale Quarterly.
Yeah,
Also, Wesley,
that's the kind of team you like to see in ARCA or in
yeah,
truck. Is
yeah.
little
And he did pull
Quarterly.
double, and this is his home track as
Yeah,
well because he's from
yeah,
nearby because he lives right across the border in Massachusetts, so this is his home track. Wesley Slimp, he also ran for a Hallmark. He had a scary moment in practice where he had a really bad fire in the truck and they had to roll out the backup, which may have hurt his performance for the rest
yeah,
for the race. But I know it actually wasn't. Stewart wasn't actually the only one helping with the effort. It actually was also Bruce Cook's team, Cook Racing Technologies, that was also helping with that effort because they had the hauler there at in the garage area. The 62 was being transported by the Bruce Cook hauler, and I think they were also servicing it because Bruce was the crew chief. Although I'm pretty sure the equipment was still a Hallmark Friesen truck.
yeah,
I'm very positive it was. There were also some other, but in general, though, there's unfortunately not a whole lot to talk about. There were a few
yeah.
spins. There were a few spins in the race. Dale Quarterly, I know, spun out. I don't think Fox caught it though.
I saw it on the Turn One camera that Lime Rock had posted. I saw
Yeah,
somebody posted a video of it.
Yeah, Dale Quarterly, I know, spun out. There were a lot of guys who went off course. Spencer Boyd, I know, went off course. He cut a tire from that. Trying to remember a few of the others. I
Matt
think
Mills,
Mills, he went off. He brought out a caution.
that's a
The
caution.
truck was not damaged that much though. Surprisingly,
Yeah,
he was able to keep going. And there were a few other guys I know who went off as well before that. A lot of guys were going off course throughout the race. I remember though on that last restart, that's when things kind of got a bit chaotic because
and naturally, right? Like late race restart, truck series on a road course. I wasn't shocked that it got a little chaotic.
no, I wasn't either.
Honestly, it could have been worse. I think.
It could
Uh,
have been, uh,
yeah, like
but
I've seen it worse.
yeah, there were a few guys that did not benefit from that. I know. Although Matt, I know. I forgot to mention Matt Crafton. He went off course, I think, once, but he did, and he lost a lap because of it. But he did get back on the lead lap and came back to finish in the top 20. So I forgot about that. There were a lot of guys I know went off. Like Lane Riggs went off on that last restart. That's a shame because he was running like second all day,
Yeah, yeah,
and
he was competitive.
he was up there for the entire race. So that was a shame. And I know some other guys were having some really good runs. Brent Cruz, I remember, was being a menace for most of the race, and he was really trying to make it work where it could stick. And Brent, he's a really nice kid, and he's probably, in my opinion, one of NASCAR's top two prospects. To me, he's number two to Connor Zilisch, with Corey Heim being penciled in at number three. I can't really do three fingers that well, but that's where I would really have Heim penciled in. But Cam Waters, I mean, it was really nice to see him from Supercars after, unfortunately, his deal to run the Cup race at Chicago fell through. It was really nice to see Cam Waters race in the 66 truck again after he did Martinsville and Kansas last year. And he had a bit of a slow day at first, but he was really able to get the ball going at the end of the race. He finished fifth, and he got a top five, which I believe is his best finish in the Truck Series. So I'm happy for Cam. I hope we'll see him again later this year somewhere. Maybe Xfinity, Cup, ARCA, Trucks again. Like I hope we see Cam Waters run again somewhere because I really want to see more of these supercar guys running more often and just guys from all around the world running more often. It's really a great sign when you have a lot of guys from around the world coming in to run, even if it's just one race. Like it's really nice to see guys from all around the world come in and run in NASCAR. It's something that I really am happy about with the sport. Additionally, I know at the end of the race, some of the other guys that unfortunately got screwed over included guys like Connor Mosack. Unfortunately, he was running top five all day. He's usually really good at the road courses. He's a veteran in Trans Am as well, so that was unfortunate to see happen there. Ben Meyer, he was having a decent run for his first ever truck star. I know he's won in Trans Am and in Cars Tour as well, so he had a decent run for Youngs. I hope we'll see him run again. He did indicate to me uh, that he is planning to run more races. That will probably be announced sometime later. And you had other guys like Jordan Taylor. Unfortunately, he was running top five all day, got screwed over at the end. That was a shame. Some other guys, Jake Garcia. I don't think the broadcast caught it, but but there was a big like the back of his truck was like sticking up towards the end of the race. So it was something pretty notable that a lot of people saw. I don't think Fox caught it though. Uh, it was also nice to see Timmy Hill run another truck race because Timmy, he scaled back to part time in the Truck Series, uh, while he also attempted to run full time in ARCA East. Unfortunately, that deal derailed after Rockingham, but he is going to be returning to ARCA in a few weeks at Dover, so that is nice to see. Timmy just announced that over on Instagram, so good luck to you, Timmy. Love you, man. Keep it up. And then, unfortunately, at the end, Stuart Friesen, who's always a really good consistent threat on these road courses. Unfortunately, he also fell out. Well, he did not follow the race. He also went off course on the last lap. Tony Breidinger also, and she was starting to move up a little bit at the end of the race. She also went off course at the very end of the race. So that was a shame there. I know Dawson Sutton, he also had issues towards the end of the race. There was like a tire issue. They had to get that fixed, and unfortunately, he fell and down and finished in 30th. But I know some other things were. I know there were some other notables out there like uh, Alex Labay. He was running really well at first. He was moving up. Same with Dale Quarterly. Unfortunately for them, they both had issues. Labay had a mechanical issue. He was in the garage for a while. He did come back out on track, but finished in last place. All 34 trucks, if I'm correct, did finish this race. But then we also had the ARCA race, which was far better. The ARCA race at Lime Rock, which sadly not everyone stayed back for, but it ended up being the best race of the day. Should also mention that the historic sports cars also brought their NASCAR division, which is vintage racing, to Lime Rock. There were about 10 cars, I think, that ran that. And that series is basically a run what you bring deal. Basically, you can race whatever you got. If you got an old Gen 4 car, bring it. If you got an old Gen 5 car of tomorrow, Gen 6 Cup car, bring it. If you got a Xfinity car, bring it. Got a truck, bring it. Like old ARCA car, bring it. Like you can bring anything basically that's been run in NASCAR before in this series, and that's what's that's what I really love about this because it's really fun to check out. And there were a bunch of notable people that ran in that race. Joe Nemechek, for example, was in that race. Ryan Gemmel ended up winning the race. He ended up going on to finish top 5 in the ARCA race, and he ran a really great race. So I'm really happy for Ryan as well, and we'll get to that in a little bit as well. But there were some other guys that ran in there. Dr. Ed Bold, gotta love that name. He ran his old ARCA car uh, in the vintage race. Buzz McCall, who used to own the American Equipment Racing team, the old 96 team that ran in Cup in the late 1990s. He ran himself at the grand age of 79. You've got to love that, the dedication that Buzz McCall brought this weekend running in the vintage race. In addition, we had a few other there were a few other vintage guys. There was someone who ran like a Denny Hamlin car from like 2021 as well as someone who ran a James Davison car from that same year. So like you can run basically anything you got. It's a run what you bring deal in that series. So it's something I just wanted to shout out because it was really fun seeing them run in the morning at 11 a.m. But on the ARCA side of things, ended up being
Good race.
Thomas Annunziata, who ended up
Not
picking up
surprised.
won the pole.
I mean, he can wheel it on a road course. And Nitro's got good stuff. I mean, that's kind of a veteran-y light kind of organization, if you
Yeah.
will. And it's. I'm not surprised it was Annunziata. I thought it would be him, Cruz, or Allen. I think Brent
Alon
Cruz had a
Day.
lot. Obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
He kind of
Alon
surprised
Day.
me just because he's
And
so. Arca's not his thing. I mean, I know a lot of stock car experience, but he ran well. I know Brent Cruz had a lot of adversity, with the lap 1 incident and the penalty, but
yeah.
not surprised Annunziata was competitive. That's
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
I know Brent Cruz was really upset after the end of the race because Brent I know was pretty upset after the race because he was like trying to complain that Annunziata hit the brakes to try to confuse him or something, which I don't know if I mean, we haven't seen what Annunziata has said, but again, that's
Yeah,
not something you really can protest. But uh, Cruz was definitely upset with the officiating after the race. But he's gonna be back in the 18 for more races this year,
yeah.
so he's got
He'll find victory lane.
plenty of more opportunity, and he's already found victory lane this year. He won at Phoenix in March
Yeah,
in a last lap
he'll do it
pass
again.
on Butterbean. We also had I mentioned it while you were away. Ryan Gemmel, he had a really great run. He had a
He
near
did, and coming back for Watkins Glen.
Yep, he'll be back at Watkins Glen. He had a really scary moment in the race where I think it was Cruz that hit him, but he still kept going. He almost hit the wall. And then in addition, there was also what's his name? But yeah, Alande, he was able to take the lead as well. And I know this track, Lime Rock, it's really hard to pass at, but he was able to do it on Lawless
He
Allen,
made it
who
look easy.
he made it look
Uh,
easy because he was passing through the field up until the
yeah,
end as well. Like he restarted in 8th after a penalty where he accidentally stayed out. Uh,
Which
uh,
is, I didn't know that that was an end of the rear. I mean, it's something I should know as much ARCA as I cover and watch, but I didn't know that was an end of the line
yeah,
penalty.
and
I see why, but I just figured since it was the 5 minute cooldown time, you just kind of fall back into line. But I think he probably more than probably definitely would have had something to say with the win if that didn't happen.
yeah, but he still made his way up to second at the end by
Yeah,
the end of the race after
absolutely.
restarting in I think like 9th or 8th, somewhere around there. Additionally, there was also I'm trying to remember a few of the other people. But yeah, Lawless, he took the lead after that first one, and so he did admit that it was a mistake on his behalf, and he wasn't surprised that I think it was Brent Cruz who got back at him later in the
Yeah,
race. And there were a few other notable runs. I remember Dale Quarterly as well ran again. He had this crazy 360 spin from Brent Cruz, but he kept it going. I know the car was unfortunately damaged from it, but he kept it going. In addition, there was also the 3 of Jeff Anton, which he has not run a race since 2012 for reference, and he still had a really great run. And like in the second
I
car
had
in a
never actually heard of him.
yeah, he used to be a competitor in a K&N East. His last race was at Dover in 2012. So
And that's the kind of guy that you like to see back, though.
yeah, and
Especially for
and
the area, right?
he's from Massachusetts as well, so another local guy in the field. There were some other guys that I know were having some good runs. I'm just trying to remember. Mike Basham. I mean, this wasn't even
He did really well.
he wasn't supposed to run the whole race, but
All right, yeah, I
but
saw that
after that
that came
scary
with
wreck, yeah, there was
Ed Pompa
Ed Pompa wanted him to Ed Pompa
finish it
wanted
out.
him to finish the race after he unfortunately wrecked out with Jason Kitzmiller. That was a really scary wreck, but thankfully both drivers were okay. So
And really
thank
unfortunate for Kitts Miller. He's really impressed me this season.
oh yeah, that the
Obviously,
CRs
always showed speed on the bigger tracks, but never doing ARCA on short tracks and road courses. He's definitely kept himself very relevant.
and the CR7 team
Uh,
has really started to step it up this year. I don't
yeah,
know if Chevy is putting more money into their ARCA deal or not, but the program has gained a lot of speed, even with Kitzmiller still driving.
absolutely
He's been running the 97 since 2020, but the speed this year has been better than it ever has been.
different. Yeah,
And
I agree.
we also had but yeah, it ended up being if I look at the results, Alex Club, he ended up finishing in 12th. There was a bit of an incident late in the going between him and the 31 team, and
We are neither of us are really strangers to this.
no,
Apparently,
nope, we apparently are not. But Alex wasn't too happy about it, but he was a little upset about it. But there was still, and I know the broadcast probably did not catch it for a good amount of the race. The Alex Club, the 31 of Tim Goulet, uh, the 99 of
right?
Michael Maples, the '06 of Brayton Laster, and the 34 of Corey Aiken. All five of them were battling really
Nose
hard,
to tail.
and I know the broadcast didn't catch it, but that was fun to watch. That battle between
I
all five of
saw
those guys.
I saw one, I think middle of the race they were showing them all go a lap down, and you could tell they were all grouped up.
Yeah.
After they call it the bend, the first set of turns there, going on the uphill section, it looked like it probably was pretty good racing if we could
Oh,
follow
it
it, but
really
obviously they
was.
weren't.
I was trying to
But
follow it when they came in the
yeah,
bend. There was also the I felt bad for him. Glenn Reen, he fell out early on with mechanical issues.
mechanical issues, yeah.
I
Which I
felt
was kind of
really
excited to see him because I know he's got some prowess up on the Northeast on short tracks, but
yeah,
obviously hasn't got the greatest equipment in his Xfinity starts. I was kind of excited to see what he would do in
and
better equipment in
and
ARCA.
this was his own car.
Yeah,
He saved up everything for this deal. He bought it from I think Marsh Racing. I think he said something like that. Something like that. He bought it from someone recently, and he had Class Motorsports field and service it, and unfortunately fell apart. And he was running top 10, so I feel really bad about it. In addition, there were a few other, but yeah, that's pretty much what happened in ARCA. But the ARCA race ended up being better, And I hope that we
Yeah,
keep. And I'm gonna say with the atmosphere we had, I really hope we keep Lime Rock on the schedule long term. Like
next year. I agree.
I know the truck race wasn't the best, but I think it should get a second chance.
Yeah, and it's hard to say with how much of it. I mean, obviously Corey Haim's dominant. If you
Yeah,
have a guy in the series that's not quite as dominant, is that a better race? And obviously that's no fault of Corey Haim,
no,
just
like
how if he's really good. Uh,
yeah,
I would like to see it, and I don't think any track should be one and done. I feel like every track deserves two races for whatever reason to have just its
yeah.
fair shake. So,
Yeah, and I think Lime Rock, because there were apparently morons on Twitter that were saying get rid of Lime Rock after that race, but like you got to give it a second chance. Like give it a
yeah,
second
absolutely.
chance or even a third chance, and then after that you can make a decision. So
Exactly. I agree.
I know there was also the Canada race. I didn't really catch much of it. I think I saw Ryan Vargas got a podium though in that race.
Third, yeah, and I think DJ
So
Kennington won.
yeah, DJ Kennington won. So I'm really happy for Ryan Vargas. There was also the Whelen Modified Tour with which not Justin Bonsignor, but his brother, younger brother Kyle Bonsignor, ended up dominating. He took home the victory. This was his first win since 2023. So nice to see Kyle Bonsignor win a race after Justin's mostly been taking the spotlight in the past few
Yeah,
years. So I'm really happy for so as I said, I'm really happy for them. So going into Chicago this weekend, we have only two NASCAR sanctioned series racing, which is the Cup Series and Xfinity. Uh, and for the first time since 2018, outside of the Daytona 500, we will
we
have
have a
a
DNQ.
we will have a DNQ. So I don't really have to
I
go
mean, good
through
to
the
see
I don't
for the
have to
series.
I don't have to go through the 36 full-time cars, but the open entrants are uh, the 66 of Josh Bilicki, the 78 of Catherine Legg, the 13 of Will Brown. Nice to see him back. The
Absolutely.
trying to remember the other two. The 67 of Corey Heim, and the last one would be the 33 of Austin Hill. So because of that, and while and I know that some people were saying that 2311 and Front Row were going to lose their charters by this point, but it seems like they are going to have them for Chicago as they are trying to appeal the decision to the whole appeals court regarding that. So
Which
depend
definitely, I think. I mean, I'm sure they knew ahead of time that there's going to be 41 cars. That's got to be a part of their urgency to have that appeal. I think.
Yeah, so
Uh,
I think they're trying to appeal because this might be this I don't know if we're going to have any more races this year where we have this many cars entered. So
yeah,
I think just it's good to definitely. So I think they really were trying to appeal now because if they
you don't
appeal
want to have to
now,
even worry about it going into
they won't
Chicago.
have to worry about someone like Riley Herbst or Noah Gregson DNQing, which would be really detrimental to both of those
Absolutely.
teams. So I'm curious to see what happens with that. And then in the Xfinity side of things, there's 40 cars for 38 spots, so two cars will go home. Some of the notable entrants, if I could I'll just pull up the entry list here. Uh, there is one update to the entry list. From the original entry list, now in the 53 is Sage Karam. He is now entered in the 53 for Gase. The
Not overly
35
shocked.
the 35 currently TBA. We'll see that ends up being. Some of the notable entrants include the '07 of Alex LeBay again. Nice to see him racing again.
Absolutely.
Shane Van Gisbergen and Connor Zilisch, they're running a duo of like Red Bull and WeatherTech schemes. Uh, they're running a mix of it. So I'm pretty excited for that to see what comes out of that. Another surprising entrant, and I didn't see this coming. Connor Mosack in the 14. Garrett Smithley, we know he announced he is skipping all of the road courses in the Xfinity Series, but Connor Mosack, maybe he could give that 14 a good run.
Yeah, I mean, incredible road racer.
Yeah,
I was kind of surprised to see that myself. I knew they interviewed Garrett Smithley during the rain delay and said they had a driver that they were going to announce this week, so I knew it was going to be somebody. I did not expect Connor Mosack, so that's pretty
yeah,
cool for him.
yep. And with trucks being off this weekend, that gives a window for
Makes
that.
sense. Yeah.
We also have the 19, which will be driven by Jack Perkins from Supercars. Another guy, another guy from there that I really am excited to see. His
Yeah.
original debut was supposed to be at Portland, but for this week, but he ended up adding another race due to getting more sponsorship. So curious how he'll run. He's actually going to join a list of drivers to race while having type 1 diabetes, which that actually hits close to home here as I myself am a type 1 diabetic. So I'm I'm curious how that deal is going to work out. And I hope Jack can have a really great run as well.
Yeah, me as well.
The
Awesome to
24,
see people come over from other countries and rip it.
the 24 this week, that is also a unique entrant. Kaz Gralla
Yeah, good to see him back.
finally makes his first start of the year after running about 25-ish races last year for Rick Ware Racing and Cup. But Kaz Gralla, I think this is going to be a great run for him. It's a 3-race deal. It's going to be 3 races as part of his deal. So I'm excited for that. And I think that with his road course talent, because he almost won a truck race driving for Young's Motorsports, I think that this is going to be a really great run for him. We also
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
the 32 of Austin Green. Austin Green, he can excel at these road courses, undoubtedly. So
And he has.
he finished 4th at Sonoma in, I think it was last year. It was last year
Yeah,
he finished
he
4th.
did.
Brad Perez back in the 45 again. There's a new team that's helping with that effort. I forget the
Yeah,
name of the team.
Redline Motorsports, I
Red
think.
Line. I don't know. And they did mention that they are planning to enter the Xfinity, or not Xfinity. They said they're
National
a
series.
national, so it could be the Xfinity Series or trucks, probably either one of those. And
Yeah,
there's a lot of people part of that deal. I saw there's an NFL player. I don't know if he's still active. That's part of that deal. So that's a
recently
very
retired. I can't remember his name,
can't
but
remember his
I
name,
looked it
but
up yesterday because I was curious myself.
yeah. So that's an interesting. Nice to see Preston Pardis back too. He's another one of the great underdogs of Xfinity, and
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
he runs his whole team out of Florida. Like his whole team is run out of Florida, like just a few miles outside of Daytona. So that's a really nice deal there. And the 50, it's nice to see them run the 50 because that was the same number that Dan Pardis ran when he ran in the Cup Series in the late '90s in that number 50. I mentioned Sage Karam, Thomas Nunziata coming off a win. He returns in the 70. Josh Bilicki, he returns to the 91. So that's pretty much the Xfinity entry lists there. I am curious if this is going to be the last race potentially for the Chicago Street Race. Like, there's apparently been talk
Yeah,
that it may come back for at least next year. Uh,
there's a lot of talk of Philadelphia, San Diego. I mean,
San Diego seems to be the most likely from what
yeah,
it stands right
yeah,
now. There's been talk about Chicago returning. We talked about it last week that it may end up coming back, but right now, from what the big rumor is that San Diego will replace Chicago, but Chicago is also not fully out of the question. So we'll see what happens with that. But I am curious as to what's going to happen with the schedule there. They want to get it out earlier than last year, so
which is
time will
always good. I think
time
there's never harm in that.
yeah, time will tell on that. We also have this. Don't think there's any other national series this week, but I know Arby's is also going all in this weekend in Chicago.
Yeah,
They're
I
going to
saw
be
that.
running. They're going to be running a commercial with Cody Ware,
I
which
saw the commercial today. It's
yeah, I
cool.
watched it,
Uh,
and
Good
and
to give a shout to the small teams and small
yeah,
drivers. I like that.
yep. And in addition, this is probably the moment that most people have been waiting for us to talk about today. The news that Daniel Suarez will not be driving the 99 car in 2026. And this
Not
has been,
shocked.
yeah, I kind of am a
Yeah.
little shocked because I thought they were going to keep Zilisch in Xfinity for a second year. But
I thought maybe they'd loan him out to another cup team, kind of like what they did with Zane Smith. But
I don't think there would have been room anywhere for that
yeah,
because
Zilisch is ready. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, he's gotten 2 wins, but I just, and I know Brody has said this on past shows, this is a prospect you can't mess up. So we'll
yeah, it's
see.
true.
But I think there's multiple reasons why this is also happening. Suarez is
Yeah,
having his worst year at Trackhouse. Like, he's
yeah, 30th in
28th,
points, isn't he?
third. Oh, he's now 30th in points.
I believe so.
And considering that Shane Van Gisbergen is right behind him in points, and he could pass him in points, especially with
Yeah,
two in a row, because we're going
yeah,
Chicago, then Sonoma
and then
right after.
Sonoma. Yeah,
So he could easily pass him in points, even though Suarez I know is really good on the road courses as well. it's sad at the same time because Suarez,
I mean, he was your first driver at Trackhouse.
and at the same time, Suarez, he's a really nice guy. Like
Yeah,
he's
great personality.
one of the nicest guys on the Cup grid. He brings in a lot of fans from south of the border to the
Yeah,
sport,
absolutely.
and it's he's one of my father's favorite drivers as well. So it's
Yeah,
kind of a bit upsetting personally, but I he's a
he'll land
great.
on his feet somewhere.
He will definitely get a ride, considering that Carlos Slim is now backing him again, in
Yeah,
addition to him backing Andres Perez in the Truck Series. So we'll see what happens with that. Suarez, you know, I just it's I still really hope he can get a win before this deal ends because it's
yeah, just to
possible.
wrap it up,
Yeah, it's
like a
possible
Burton kind
that
of thing last
yeah,
year.
because it's possible that he may not even be in the Cup Series next year full time. I imagine he'll
Yeah,
definitely do like the Daytona 500 and like
Mexico race.
definitely Mexico because that's expected to return. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Probably some of the road courses as well,
Oh yeah,
and maybe a few.
Atlanta.
Yeah, probably some of the super like Suarez with the money he's got and freeway insurance. I know is really tied to him. Like he definitely could bring them wherever. And I mean, I know there's talk about where Suarez can go now. Bob Cockris said today that if Legacy does go to a third car, I don't know how that's going to happen. I mean, because if they lose that lawsuit, who can they get a charter from? Like I
Yeah,
don't
no, they're
like
running out of options.
they'd have to run it as an open team unless they may be banking on 2311 and front row losing the lawsuit. They may also be
Yeah,
banking on that because Jimmy is like, "Oh, we're running a third car next year. We're running a third car next year." Like and I think another reason why they're putting why they may want Zilisch in Cup, and while it is not confirmed that it is going to be Zilisch, more than likely will be, if they put him, the thing is, Trackhouse also probably doesn't want him to be poached because in a recent interview, Jimmy Johnson was also saying that he had interest in Connor Zilisch.
I saw that. Yeah,
So,
and
like,
Jesse Lowe.
yeah, Jesse Love, I know has been talked about for a while. That's been a heavily rumored
Yeah,
third driver for Legacy Motor Club. Suarez, I know, was mentioned for Legacy Motor Club as well. So, but even
one
then,
to watch.
I could see them doing a deal where they run as an open team for 1 year and then buy a charter.
Yeah,
This is what the Wood brothers did in 2016, where they planned to run a full year unchartered and then buy a charter for 2017.
yes,
I think that's what they could maybe do. It's not recommended. I know RFK Racing was saying they would do it for a year if they did not get a third charter for Ryan Preece, but it's something that and just because there's a lot of money that would be coming in as part
yeah,
of
a lot.
whoever they
Yeah.
get because if they bring Suarez they definitely can bankroll a whole year uncharted.
Oh,
He's done it
absolutely.
before. He's
Yeah,
done it before. He did it with the
with the
96 team
'96,
with Gaunt Brothers, and I know JTG Doherty did it in 2021 with Ryan
with
Preece
the
and Kroger
'37. Yeah, that's
because
right.
the amount of money that Kroger was bringing to that team, they still had to run a second car
Yeah, absolutely.
because there was a lot of money as part of that deal.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
trying to remember if there was some other talk regarding that. So I know Pakras also mentioned, depending on if he doesn't go to Legacy, he mentioned Junior Motorsports potentially, where he just won four in the 9 car. I mean, he could maybe do a ride swap and and maybe
Yeah,
Suarez ends up in the 88, or if they renumber that
or
to the
whatever number.
9.
Yeah,
Like, there's probably some other teams that may be looking like. This probably wouldn't happen, but maybe he could go to Colligan Cup if Ty. I know Ty Dillon is likely to stay on, but
that
even
would
then,
be a
Car-
logical fit if it's there.
Carlos Slim at the same time may also try to buy out Ty Dillon, knowing because
Yeah,
he's the richest guy in all of Mexico to my knowledge. So like
yeah,
he definitely would try to get him in a cup ride. But
yeah,
if
absolutely.
but if Richard Childress, who helped get Ty Dillon in the 10, is like, no, we're not gonna let that happen because Colleague is now basically RCR number 2. They are
Yeah,
now RCR number 2. If you think about it that way, Richard also has a say, so Childress would probably not want that to happen. So definitely curious to see what happens there. I mean, you could also see Suarez maybe in a colleague Xfinity car. That wouldn't be out of the equation.
yeah,
And
absolutely not.
like I think there's also maybe the you should also consider if Jesse Love ends up taking the legacy ride, that too opens up. Maybe he could go
On
there.
RCR. Yeah,
Maybe he goes back to Joe Gibbs if someone for some reason were to leave there, although that is not likely. It seems like Sawalich, Taylor Gray, and Brandon Jones seem to be long term there. I think that it's just that at the same time, Suarez will probably not be at a top team though, unfortunately for him. But at the
yeah.
same time,
He'll land somewhere.
he
He's good enough
definitely he
to.
definitely will have a right. And Suarez by no means is not a bad driver. Can
Oh,
put
very much.
he
Yes.
can put together great runs here and there, which is why he's still in this 99 today. It's just that
Yeah.
this year they felt that a change needs to be made. If Zilisch ends up in that 99, that team could easily be better. Like, and another team, maybe even a smaller team in Xfinity or even maybe a Truck Series team may want to take a chance on
Yeah.
Suarez.
Jump on an
Like,
opportunity for a Cup Series
yeah,
winner. That's not every day.
we had Daniel Hemrick drop down to the 19. We had Daniel Hemrick drop down to the 19 truck, and he's been successful there. He's got a win. So
Yeah.
anything's
Absolutely.
out of the equation. Anything's in the equation. Like,
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
I definitely want to see what happens with Daniel Suarez. But again, I do wish the best for Daniel and the rest of that crew on the 99 team for the rest of the year. I know Suarez a few weeks ago was saying, I don't expect a decision on this for a few months. It seemed like that decision ended up coming a few months
Quicker.
earlier than he
Yeah.
expected.
But that helps him out too. It gives him a little bit more time to find something else and puts him first in line for the silly season that there's no other
Yeah.
rides being taken necessarily. He's got open will.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know on Door Bumper Clear they've also said silly season is not expected to be very active. Like
Yeah.
the only things that I had been hearing from there and from others is that the only two things that could happen in silly season would be Suarez, what happens with Trackhouse in the 99, and the Rick Ware Racing Legacy Motor
Yeah.
Club lawsuit. Those are like the only two things that people really have said could
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
But now we do know that Suarez will not be in the 99 car next year, and it is more than likely that Connor Zilisch will end up taking that ride unless something else crazy were to happen. I don't know if there's any other storylines this weekend. I know in F1 we just raced in Austria. Max Verstappen wrecked out on the first lap. Like that was crazy. Yeah, I do try to cover other
Yeah.
motorsports in addition.
Yeah.
Like like at times we've gone heavy on IndyCar in the past. So
Yeah.
with F1, I forget who won though. I think it was.
I have no idea.
I don't remember either, so we'll just leave it at that regarding F1. But in Austria, I saw in the first lap Verstappen gets wrecked out by Andrea Kimi Antonelli, and that probably would put some frowns on the faces at Red Bull because this is their home race.
Home race. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't think the team is based in Austria, but the drink company itself is based in
Is.
Austria. The whole track is named Red Bull Ring for a reason.
Yeah.
They're from
Yeah.
Austria, so like it's
That's a big
just
deal. That's a big race.
yeah. And I mean it wasn't Max's fault. Andrea Kimi got into him, but it was still something that was kind of unfortunate for
Unfortunate.
Max.
Yeah.
There's also been some other silly season talk in F1. I saw something today that apparently Cadillac has their eyes on Yuki Tsunoda. That would be big because he'd be out at Red Bull if that happens. And there's also talk that apparently Alpine is targeting uh, Valtteri Bottas, which that would be really surprising because everyone's been saying that Bottas is going to go to Cadillac, but maybe that's not going to happen. Like that would be big if either of those things happen. Like those would be that would be big. I mean, is Bottas the best driver? Not necessarily, but it's more that this would be very shocking. And
Yeah.
there's been people saying, could Bottas come to IndyCar? Could Logan Sargent come to IndyCar? Like, it's something that we're going to be watching silly season wise going forward. I'm trying to remember if there's some other racing headlines this week.
The only other one I could think of is doesn't need to go into depth because it's not this week. But shout out LeVar Scott. He's gotten himself
Oh
an
yeah,
Xfinity
oh
ride.
yeah, announced
I
today. Yeah, it was
yeah.
announced today.
I think I've interviewed him a couple times. I think
Same
he
with
is just
me.
a fantastic human being. He deserves it. He's going to win
And
an ARCA race here soon. I have a feeling he deserves an Xfinity ride. So good
Yeah,
for him. Definitely want to shout that out.
Lavar Scott. He's one of the. Lavar Scott. He's a really nice kid. I mean, he's debuting at his home race as well, which is Dover, as
Yeah,
he
big
he
deal.
lives right across the Delaware River between the New Jersey and Delaware
Yeah,
border. So like, this is treated as a home race for him, and I think he had family with him at Lime Rock because like this weekend. I know Raja Karuth. I remember he had a lot of. I think he had a lot of family with him.
yeah,
At Lime Rock yesterday, or not yesterday, Saturday. I don't know why I'm
yeah,
thinking it was yesterday. What am I thinking at this point? But a lot. We're going to be watching a lot of what's coming up in
yeah,
terms of like Lavar Scott, because this is a debut I really am excited for, and
yeah.
he's going to be joining Takuma Koga as the second guy announced to be debuting in Xfinity at
That's
Dover.
right. I
Because
forgot about that.
Takuma
That's right.
Koga from Japan, he's going to be running in the 53 for Gase. Like that I'm really looking forward to, because I've never met Takuma Koga, but from what everyone's told me,
Great
he's
dude.
an awesome dude.
Yeah, I've seen
Like,
him in passing a couple times at the track, but I've never met him personally. But yeah, I've heard great things.
he's awesome. So like,
Yeah,
I really am excited for that debut. I mean, I know the 53 isn't necessarily the best car, he is he is an awesome guy, and I'm so
yeah,
happy for him because he's been working
absolutely.
really hard for this. And he's in his
Yeah,
40s, like, and he's
yeah,
still racing. Like, he doesn't have any plans to slow down. Like, heck, he wants to move up still. So
yeah. I
like,
didn't know he still lived in Japan until the Flat Rock race when he finished third in that
yeah,
interview. He
yeah,
goes back and forth.
yeah, he goes
Like
back
that's
and
awesome.
forth. Like, that's what I love about Takuma. And I mean,
Yeah,
so like, I think there's definitely some things to think about there. The in-season tournament this week drops down to 16 drivers. It is then going to go to 8 to 4 to 2,
two.
and then we will crown a champion in Indianapolis. So I'm definitely interested in seeing some of the matchups this week. I'm going to try to pull up some of the
Absolutely.
match. I'm going to try to pull up some of the matchups here. But I mentioned it earlier on, and this is going to probably be maybe the last thing we talk about. Some of the
Yeah,
matchups to look for.
yeah,
Uh, but there's some surprising, there's some interesting matchups for this week. I'm trying to see. So for this week, Ty Dillon versus Brad Keselowski. Uh, who are we picking? Brad Keselowski?
I mean, Brad's not the greatest on the road courses in the next gen, but
I'm gonna go
Ty Dillon
Brad.
is, yeah, probably still safe pick to
Next
go Brad.
matchup is Alex Bowman and Bubba Wallace.
I'll
Alex
go
Bowman
Bowman,
won. I'm gonna go Bowman just because he won this race last year.
and he's so consistent on the road courses, no matter
Next,
what road
yeah.
course.
Next is John Hunter Nemechek and Chase Elliott. I feel Chase
Just
Elliott.
Elliott. Yeah,
Next, then it's going to be. Then this is a harder one. Eric Jones versus Ricky Stenhouse. Who are we thinking there? I'm thinking maybe.
Eric Jones.
I'm.
I think he's got momentum on his side for sure.
This is a harder one because
A toss up.
Ricky. This is a toss up, but maybe leaning towards Eric. Next one, Noah
Yeah,
Gregson, Ryan Priest. Ryan Priest. Like,
Brian Priest has
Greg's
been so good this year.
Gregson is not good at Chicago, and this has been
No,
proven a few this
no, yeah,
after he wrecked 6 times at that one
in the
turn,
first year.
and then
Yeah, that was rough.
I remember Andy Lally said something on the radio after he hit it in the cool down lap.
Yeah,
Then Carson Hocevar and Tyler Reddick. I'm gonna go Reddick on this one, just because Reddick finished second last year.
yeah, another good road racer. I agree, Reddick.
And
I mean,
then
Osavar's fast everywhere, but I think Tyler Reddick's got the nod there.
the next
Yeah,
matchup is AJ Allmendinger versus Ty Gibbs. I'm gonna go AJ Allmendinger.
fun one at a road course. I'll go
Although,
Ty Gibbs.
oh, interesting.
I,
But
I mean,
but I could see the
fast as the road
reasoning.
courses.
I could see the reasoning for
Uh,
that because Ty
yeah,
ran really good in the Xfinity race here last year, and Ty also was leading for a while at Mexico. So,
yeah.
you know what? I could
I
see it,
think
but my gut is still
that
telling
might
me
be the
AJ
best
Allman.
one.
My gut is still
That might
telling
be the
me
best matchup.
I'm
Yeah,
still
Allmendinger.
yeah,
Yeah, there's no
alongside
wrong picks.
the Eric Jones Ricky Stenhouse matchup,
Yeah, I
because
think
that's
those are
going to
the
be
two to
one to
watch for
watch.
sure.
And then the
Yeah,
last one is Zane Smith versus Chris Buescher. I'm going to go Chris Buescher
Chris
because
Buescher. I mean, Zane Smith is good, but Buescher's again with Bowman really, really consistent on the road courses. So yeah, go Buescher.
Chris Buescher is also one of the best drivers on the road courses in the next gen
Yeah,
era. So
yeah,
I'm going to give him the advantage here. So
no,
that's
absolutely.
just trying to think if there's any other headlines this week. I'm not sure if there's anything else on my
I
mind.
can't think of anything. I know a lot of the lower divisions are off, like
Yeah,
regional stuff. So
yeah, everything's
it's been a
off this
slow week.
week. So, I think that's going to probably be about it. So, I will be back again next week. Once again, thank you, Josh, for coming on with
Yeah, of
me for
course.
this
Yeah, sorry I
week.
had to step away with some customers there a couple times, but
No, I don't have
finishing
an
up my
issue
work
there.
day. So yeah, it's
But
fun. I had a good time.
so next week we will be discussing the the aftermath of Chicago. Go and lead. Brody should be back on for post race at Chicago. So again, it was nice having you on, Josh.
Yeah,
We will
thank you.
probably have another new guest on next week in addition to Brody. So we'll see who that ends up being. Uh, but again, that's going to probably wrap it up. Again, I am your host, Adam Relkin, joined by this week's co-host, Josh Calloni from Frontstretch. I'd like to thank you guys all for watching, and we'll see you guys next time, most likely. Thank you all for watching.